problems towards the back. I think that's Simon Lacey with possible problems. No, it might be Dan Marte, one of the two though. Just having a little bit of a check from the scrutineers, and hopefully that's now done. Yes, it is. So Dan Marte pulls into his correct place. Green flag will then wave at the back, and we are set to go racing for the final time for the 600s, pre-injection Pirelli Superseries, and also the club, which gets underway when the lights switch out, which they do now, and the roar of the 600s head their way up towards the first corner. Very even drag there from Broderick, Whitmore Wilson and Lee Wells. It's just going to be Lee that scrapes ahead in towards the first corner. Whitmore Wilson dives through into second place, and James Alderson made a good start as well on his blue and white machine to sit there in third place. But there's a stream of bikes now all vying for position up towards the Wilson hairpin for the first time, and they'll safely make it through. Fingers crossed they do, and yeah, looks that way. So they've all got through. Lovely job. They now go back down towards Palmer, and in there will be our race leader Lee Wells, trying to pull away, but Broderick is going to keep him as honest as possible and try and spoil his fun this weekend by getting the final victory of the weekend. But Lee's a very tough man to pass, a very fair racer and a great rider at that as well, is Lee. Shown his true pace this weekend once again, just like the previous 3 seasons where he's been champion of the Pirelli Super Series. Can this be 4th time lucky as well? Broderick Whitmore Wilson is there in second. Third still for James Alderson. 4th place looks like the colours of Jamie Cornfield, black and yellow, and then 5th place is Robert Childs. He's dropped down from where he started, but you can count on Robert to come strong towards the end of these races. He's been on the podium on all 3 occasions, just hasn't quite kept with Lee Wells or Broderick Whitmore Wilson, but the podium's good solid points to start the season. That's always the main factor for many of the riders out there as they work their way down through Brundle and Nelson, and the first lap very shortly to be completed then in this 600 race. How close will the top 2 be at the end of this lap? Not that close, to be fair. Lee Wells has just got a few bike lengths in hand, 5 or 6 bike lengths over Broderick, and then James Alderson just a little bit further back from that as well, as they turn in towards the final corner at Murray's. We'll count them through and see who is in fact inside the top 10. Pretty much got the top 4 or 5 covered. Let's have a look at the rest of the field. So through goes Lee Wells, bike number 70, that leads the way. Second then for number 193, Broderick Whitmore Wilson. Third place for number 19 is James Alderson. Found himself on the podium in the previous race. Sorry, not on the podium, just off the podium in the previous race. And in fact for James this weekend there's been 2 4th places and 1 5th, but can he round off his weekend in style with a 3rd? That's where he currently sits. 4th place is the first of the club runners, which is Jamie Cornfield, bike number 56. Then we see in 5th place number 85, which is Robert Childs. 6th place 132 is James Skelding. Then in 7th place number 1 Scott Stevens. 8th place number 44 is Robert Sadler, and then behind that we see in 9th position number 49 Mike McLean. Then we have 461, which is Ross Walker. That's how the top 10 came through at the end of that first lap. Leaders now once again turning their way in towards Hamilton. Gap between the top 2, by the way, was 0.8 of a second. Looking about the same at the minute as they go in towards Oggies, and I think James Alderson here in fact is started to catch as well. So James is on a good run on this second lap as they turn in the sunshine through on towards the Bentley Straight. Be a move coming at the end of the Bentley Straight down towards Brundle and Nelson. Let's have a look at these sector times through the first split. It's a purple one for Lee Wells, and that's the 1:19.0, 1:19.6 for Whitmore Wilson, 1:19.8 for Alderson. So I thought Alderson was catching, but it's obviously not there at the minute. So he'll just wait, although he's quicker than those behind, so we've got nothing really to worry about from the 4th place man Jamie Cornfield. He can just pretty much focus on what's happening ahead of him and try his best to catch up with race leaders. There's a lovely squabble going on just behind the top 3, I think that is. 1, 2, 3, no, behind the top 5, I think, yeah, just behind 5th place man, so that would be James Skelding, wouldn't it, possibly, as they come through, unless Skelders has got himself up a little bit higher, which I think he may have done. Yeah, because Robert Childs has now dropped down, so it's Childs, Walker, Stevens, McLean, Sainsbury and Sadler, and also Owen Richardson, who all find themselves in that probably 8 bike battle at the minute. The one that lost down was Robert Childs down to 6th place. And And also Owen Richardson has dropped a little bit further down from where he normally is. He started this race from 7th, he's now down in 12th position, so there's definite work to do for the Club 600 runner. Alan Sainsbury involved in that as well. Been around for quite a few years as Alan, but having another good run inside the top 10 at the minute and battling with Mike McLean just ahead of him, and also Scott Stevens in there, and also Ross Walker. They're all nose to tail as they went across the start finish stripe, and they are still fairly close as they work their way on towards Hamilton now, so I won't do anything to pick those apart because it's going to change quite a lot here, I reckon. So we'll let them do battle as they head in towards Oggies. Meantime, quickest lap of the race has been recorded by Lee Wells at 1:58.418. So we're going to get another quickest lap of the weekend. We've had a 1:58.1 so far, and that is the quickest we currently have. But Lee Wells, could he possibly break 1:57s? We'll have to wait and see, won't we? That's a question and a task, I'm sure, for Lee to try and do. Third lap is very shortly to be completed then, as Lee and Broderick Whitman Wilson come back towards us here. In towards Coram they go, and now power themselves in towards the final corner. First, second and third are pretty much as one, and as they go through we'll see if anything's going to change this time round. But first, second and third across the line. Lee Wells, is he going any quicker? Can he get down to a 1:57? No, not quite, but it is a 1:58.109, which again is now the quickest lap of this class's weekend, because we had a 1:58.14, it's now 1:58.10, so good stuff from Wells. Gap between him and Whitmore Wilson is 2.8 seconds as Robert Charles tries to fight back at Richie's corner to get James Skeldin deposed to place, but that doesn't work. So Skeldin going really well at the minute, up to 5th place for him. That's an improvement on the earlier races we've had, because James has had an 8th place finish and a 9th place finish, and also a 13th as well. So this is a much better run from James Skeldin, who once again was a newcomer 600 runner a couple of years ago. He was up against the likes of Dean Zyke that year. I think that was a good battle between both of them. What are we now, 2018, so yeah, probably 2015 or 2016, possibly 2014. It's been quite a few years. They passed so quickly, but yeah, it was a great battle that year between Skeldin and Zyke. They had many wins in the 600 class, but Skeldin coming on strong here now in the Pirelli Super Series, up against Robert Charles there, and just managed to get the job done. But let's see if he can hold it on this lap as well. And they're just behind Jamie Cornfield, who still runs within the Club 600 class and leads that one, sits 4th place overall. His next challenger is number 1, Scott Stevens, who's down in 8th position, and 3rd in that class is number 44, which is Robert Sadler at the minute. Aaron Sadler. So Aaron's down there in 11th position. In terms of the pre-injection, still all weekend long it has been number 83 that's led the way, and Ian David Kirby is doing exactly the same this time round. Matt Jemmett is still 2nd, and number 15 sits there in 3rd place, and that is the machine of Simon Lacey. Right, here comes the top 3. Gap has opened up quite substantially this time round. 3.4 seconds now between the top 2, but we want to look at what's happening for 5th place really. That's the closest battle where it was. Robert Charles has managed to get back through now, so Charles back into 5th, 6th place for Skeldin, and 7th place for Ross Walker as they go through. And there's a side-by-side battle between Scott Stevens and Alan Sainsbury, and Alan's going to try and get the job done at Richie's corner, but not quite alongside there to go for the move. So Sainsbury sits behind Stevens, although he'll try and get up towards the hairpin at Wilson. That's not quite going to work on this occasion for him, as we now start this 5th lap of the race. Down through Hamilton and Oggies goes Lee Wells and Broderick Whitmore Wilson. 3.4 seconds was the gap last time round. Looks like it's just closing slightly there. James Alderson is just falling back now. He's now 3.6 seconds adrift off the top 2, so it's 3 seconds apiece between 1st and 2nd, and 2nd and 3rd. And Jamie Cornfield sitting on his own in 4th place on the bike of number 56. So it looks like he's going to be unlucky for the 4th time this weekend not to get himself on the overall podium. But you've got to bear in mind that within this year's championship there's separate classes, so the club are fighting with the Pirellis, but of course they're still getting their overall championship points as well, so that's nothing to worry about. Always nice to finish high up, but if you can get your maximum points in class, that is the best thing you need to worry about, really. Whitmore Wilson is fighting back though through sector 1. He's done the quickest of anyone so far, and it does look like that gap has come down to less than 3.4 seconds here, so Broderick Whitmore Wilson now on the catch up. Lee Wells, will he be able to respond in some form? Not that time, it was a 59.3, whereas it's a 58.4 for Whitmore Wilson, so almost a second quicker. James Alderson also does a personal best lap time, 59.4, and then Jamie Cornfield through in 4th place on bike number 56. 5th place still, number 85, is Robert Charles, and here comes near enough side by side between Skelding and Walker, although Walker has got through this time, so Ross Walker now gets a place away from James Skelding. That's the second position he's lost in as many laps now. Scott Stevens, Alan Sainsbury and Mike McLean round out your top 10. We have lost, unfortunately, from this race Owen Richardson. He has disappeared from the order. That's a real shame, because Owen has had some good runs so far this weekend. He had a 6th place in the first race of the day. He had a 7th place finish yesterday, and he also had a 6th place finish as well in the previous one, so he's had some good solid top 10 performances. This one didn't get off to the best of starts. He was outside the top 10 and straight away he was playing catch up, but it hasn't gone well at all, unfortunately, for Owen. He's now out of the race, and he may well be joined by Julian Gary. I think Julian's just towards the back rather than out of the race, so yeah, I think he's still in it. It's just Owen Richardson that we have lost after early problems, unfortunately. Right, waiting for the leaders to reappear. 6 laps about to be ticked off. Top 3 still Wells, Whitmore Wilson and Alderson. There's been no improvements through the first sector for the top 2, so it should be roughly around the same gap now between them as they come back into our sight through Coram. Yeah, in fact it may have just opened up now, so I think Lee Wells will retaliate on this next lap as he heads towards the line. And Lee Wells is very comfortable at the minute. He's had his chances to be caught, but I think it's going to be 4 out of 4 for Lee Wells now with 2 laps to go. Gap extends to 2.8 seconds, so yeah, brief respite there, but it didn't last long, did it? Straight back on the money was Lee Wells. Sure, they come once more then. Any more road and ground being making by Robert Charles. This will be unlucky if Robert Charles doesn't get to the podium, because he's had 3 podiums as well this weekend, although if Robert Charles does get there, that will mean there's going to be a very unlucky James Alderson, who's not been able to finish on the podium just yet. He's finished off it on 2 occasions so far this weekend, so he'll want to end the weekend on a high. The best way to do that will be with a podium, which he's currently sitting in at the minute on bike number 19. Good scrap across the line there as well that we just saw was between Alan Sainsbury, Scott Stevens and Mike McLean. They're all fighting over 8th, 9th and 10th places, and it's Alan Sainsbury who leads that little charge at the minute as they take their way on towards the left-hander Agostini. Leaders heading his way now on towards the Bentley Straight. They're going to flick through sector 1. Let's see what their respective sector times are, and if Lee Wells is going to be caught once again, or if Broderick Whitmore Wilson has given up. It looks like it may be that way. I don't think he's given up. I think it's just that Lee Wells is still pushing on very hard at the minute. He's just done another personal best sector time there, 118, in fact best of anyone, 118.5 by the looks of it, so he is potentially on to go even quicker in this race. Can he get down to a very low 158, so 158.5 at the minute. Lee Wells about to turn left through the Murray's Corner, and then he'll go through to complete this lap and start the last lap of the race. Here we go, 158.5, 158.1 to beat. It's a 157.8, so we do get down to the 157s. We were wondering if it would be possible, and Lee Wells has proven his talent once again. So through he goes, now leads by 3.5 seconds on this last lap. And how many times last year did Lee actually have 100% winning records in terms of each round? Because last year with the 600s we only had 3 races per weekend. This year we're back up to 4 after they've given way to the Pirelli Superseries 1000s to run on their own. But last year for Lee Wells we had 3 rounds where he had a 100% winning record. They were the rounds at Brands Hatch, I think it was, wasn't it, the second round last year. Brands Hatch was a winning round, Donington Park was a winning round, and I think it was Croft where he got all 3 wins as well, possibly. But he had 3 rounds last year where he got all 3 wins, so this is going to be a good start to the season. 4 wins on the cards for Lee Wells, which will mean he'll have 100 points leaving this first round, which is already a big gap to close down, because Whitmore Wilson will have 4 second places, which means he'll have 80 points. That means he's on the back foot. He'll need at least a win to recuperate all those points, which is, yeah, fair enough, it can happen, but straight away you put yourself on the back foot when you let people like Lee Wells get away. But he's done a sterling job this weekend, and he'll be absolutely delighted. He'll be heading back home this evening, I'm sure up north somewhere for Lee, and he'll be taking quite a bit of silverware with him along the way. But it's almost job done then for Lee Wells, who is about to come up towards the checker flag. He's done everything he needs to this weekend. He's qualified well, he's got the wins, and he's going to get the last checker flag of the weekend for this class. It's the win for the Pirelli Super Series man Lee Wells. Bike number 70 comes through 3.3 seconds in the end. He just backed off towards the end with Broderick Whitmore Wilson in second. James Alderson does get his first podium of the year as well, so well done to him. Bike number 19. 4th place will be then the club 600 winner for the 4th time. He's just going to hold on ahead of Robert Childs as well there, so 4th place for number 56, 5th place for number 85, and then we see in 6th place 461, which is Ross Walker. 7th place goes the way of number 1, or it will do when he crosses the line now, Scott Stevens. 8th place for then number 49, which is Mike McLean. 9th place, just waiting to see who that will be. Alan Sainsbury's dropped back on this last lap, and I think in fact he's lost a couple more places there. So is Alan Sainsbury in trouble? He could well be, because 9th place goes to Aaron Sadler on bike number 44, and 10th place will be that of 177, which is Ryan Warrington